Impact of exposure to violence during middle childhood. Noelle Stewart, Widener University. Hi class, my name is Noelle Stewart. I earned my undergraduate degree in Human Services from the University of Phoenix in 2008. I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and I've worked for over 5 years providing school-based, community-based, and residential services to adolescents who are dealing with substance abuse issues. Right now, I am a stay-at-home mom. I'd like to begin my presentation with a case study. Rachel is a 9-year-old Caucasian female. She has no reported or observed physical abnormalities, no history of serious injuries or illnesses. Rachel lives with her biological mother and does not have contact with her bio-father. Rachel's father was physically abusive to her mother, but she did not witness any of this violence. She lives in an urban area. Within this area, there is a high rate of crime. There is some indirect aggression noted. Rachel does not have many close peers, and she does have a lower academic achievement than the majority of her peers. For this reason, she was referred to a guidance counselor at school by her teacher. She spends a significant amount of time with a babysitter and reports watching a lot of TV because her mother works full-time. I decided to start with a case study because I find some of the ideas and theories presented with regard to middle childhood more easily applied when they're related to a case study. So keeping this case in mind, I'm going to provide a little bit of background on middle childhood. The age range for middle childhood is about 5 or 6 years old to approximately 11 years old. Some of the physical development that occurs during this time period include increases in height, weight, muscle mass, and coordination. Some of the cognitive development that occurs in middle childhood is critical thinking development, an increase in memory, an increase in attention span, and detail. Emotional development in middle childhood includes the ability to identify with internal characteristics and traits as opposed to appearance. Someone in middle childhood may identify as smart, funny, caring, as opposed to identifying with physical characteristics such as I have long hair or I have brown eyes. There's also an increase in the ability to control and to redirect emotions. Now I'd like to go over a little bit of the developmental theories associated with this stage. In Piaget's stages of development, middle childhood falls into 2 of his stages. The first one is the pre-operational stage. This occurs between about 2 and 7 years old, and some characteristics of this stage include egocentrism, which is the ability to only see things from the child's own perspective as opposed to the perspective of other people. A lack of conservation, which means the child is unable to understand that when something changes shape or changes the container that it's held in, that it's still the same thing in the same amount. Irreversibility. An example of irreversibility is Michael being Finn's cousin does not make Finn Michael's cousin in Michael's mind. There's also development of classification and seriation. Classification is where the child's able to separate things into groups based on their characteristics. Seriation refers to the organization of things. So the child may be able to put things in order based on different properties, such as size. The other stage that middle childhood falls into is the concrete operation stage, which is about 7 to 11 years old. In this stage, the child is able to begin to understand events from the perspective of other people. He or she can also master the skills that are associated with seriation, classification, and conservation that we talked about. And there's also developments in math and language, and the child is now able to use symbols. So for reading and things like addition and multiplication. The next developmental theory is Erikson's theory. In middle childhood, this is the stage of industry versus inferiority. In this stage, children are learning through play. Industry is where the child develops a sense of accomplishment through the completion of tasks. Inferiority is a failure to complete tasks or resolve crises, and this results in feelings of inadequacy. Next is Bandora's social learning theory. In this stage, children learn through modeling, which is observing and imitating different behaviors. They also observe the consequences of others' behaviors and start to learn from them. In this stage, the development of self-efficacy begins and is very, very important. So successful experiences build self-efficacy and thereby increase the child's feelings of confidence. Self-efficacy also increases in positive performance in academics, relationships, and other areas, and reinforces feelings of competence. So back to Rachel. With her case, she is able to engage in seriation, classification, and conservation, so these senses are developed for her. She is showing signs of egocentrism in relation to events and situations, so she still is unable to see things from other perspectives. So things like her parents' divorce, the fact that her mother doesn't spend very much time with her. She's behind in reading and math. She doesn't play with her peers at school. She feels like a failure. Does not have a lot of positive role models, which with social learning theory is very, very important. And she also portrays a very low sense of self-efficacy.